Today on Beauty from Trashes, we are going to be making these tiny purses. They are made from back pockets of old jeans that you may have around your house. You can also just do them with fabric, but I think that the jean idea is very cute and I like how they look. And I use these, I just sling it over my shoulder, and if I'm going out for the day and I just need like a couple bucks and maybe my cell phone, that's when I use this. My cell phone fits in there really nicely, you should know, because I mean it's the same size as your back pocket, and you can just slip a few other things in there, maybe your iPod or anything like that, and I think they're really cute. I like them a lot, and they're pretty simple to make, and they're a good way to recycle some of your jeans that you have around your house. For your supplies, you'll need a pair of old jeans, some fabric, a pair of scissors, thread, pins, a sewing machine, and needle. Now, for the sewing machine, that is optional. You can use just the needle and hand sew if you do not want to use a sewing machine. But even if you're using the sewing machine, you will need a regular needle. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our fabric. And so what you're going to need to do is cut out your pocket. And I have about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of extra fabric all the way around my pocket so that I can sew. And then you'll need to cut out a piece of fabric that is about the same size as your pocket. It doesn't have to be perfect, but make sure that it covers the pocket part. And you want it to be a little more than 1/2 inch around the pocket, just in case, but it can be the same size as this piece. And then you're going to need to cut your straps. So what your straps is going to be is just a long strip of fabric that's about 2 inches to 1.5 inches thick. And if you don't have 4 feet of fabric, which I do not have, you can just get another strip of the same fabric and just sew those 2 pieces together, just like that, and you won't know the difference. And then the last piece of fabric you're going to need is this piece, and it's going to be a tiny extra pocket on our purse. And I'm using extra jean, but you can use other fabric if you want. It doesn't matter. And so in this jean, I have the dimensions, and I'm going to show you that. And so you can just cut the same as this, or you can make it whatever size you want. And we're going to be folding these flaps down to make it look like a pocket all the way around. And so you're going to need extra for that. And then another thing is for the pocket, make sure that you leave the pocket intact. So it's still like, it can still hold stuff. I didn't cut around it. So before you go any further with your project, I recommend sewing anything that you want on your pocket now. And so what I mean is like these beads, and if you look at this pocket, you can see that it has the same zigzag pattern as this pocket here. And so I just sewed these beads right over it, and you can do that on your jeans. Sewing over the pattern makes it really easy to do something special on your purse. But you don't have to do that, of course. It's just an idea. And if you want to make this flower, this beaded flower, I have a video on that, and I will put that link below. And you do not, when you do that video, don't make the ring part, of course, just make the flower. And so what I'm going to do on this pocket is I'm going to make a heart out of buttons, and so I'm just going to sew the buttons on. And when sewing onto your pocket, make sure you don't go all the way through. So you're not sewing all the way into the back, you're going to have to sew inside of here. And it's going to be a little difficult, but of course if you sew all the way through, then your pocket won't open, and then it would be a waste of time. So I finished decorating my pocket, and it looks like this. I finished sewing all the buttons on, and I can still open it and, you know, put my hand in it. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just sew this pocket. We're not going to sew it on yet, we're just going to sew the basic outline of this pocket. And so you're going to need this piece. So the first thing that we're going to sew on this is this top stitch here. And this we're not going to sew to our purse because this is where we're going to be able to put stuff in. So you just take your piece and decide which way you want on the front. This is going to be my front. So I'm going to just turn it over, and this is the back side. And I'm going to fold the piece down. Just like that, about 1/2 inch. And then I have a pin here. And I'm just going to pin that down. And once I've done that, I'm just going to take the thread of your choice, because you're going to be able to see the thread. On this one I used pink, and on this one I'm going to use red to sew across here. And we're going to sew 2 stitches because I just think it looks better. So they're just, you know, regular line stitch across. 2 of them, just like that. And so you can do that now. So I sewed across the top, just like that. And the next thing we're going to sew is the 2 sides. And so the first thing you're going to do is just turn it over and fold the backs in about another 1/4 inch, or not 1/4 inch. And so you can just take a pin and place that, and do the same to the other side. And this time we're only going to sew 1 line. We're not going to sew 2 like we did on the top. So the next thing that we're going to sew are the triangular bottom pieces of this pocket. And so I have my 2 sides sewn now. We're just going to flip it over, and you're going to take your piece and you're going to fold the corners just like that. So I folded this one in, and then I folded this one right on top of it. And what you need to do is make sure that this side and this side are the same, like a straight line across. And if you don't have them like that, then your thing's going to look really funky, and your like corner's going to be over here instead of in the middle, and you don't want that. It'll look really bad. So I recommend just kind of folding one first, taking a pin and pinning it down, and then taking the other side and trying to match it up. Once you've got it matched up, take a pin, pin it down, and then just sew 1 line across, just like this. So here's my new pocket. I am all done. I sewed it all up. And so now if you wanted to put something on your pocket, you need to do that now. So you could put like a cute little flower on it, or sew a heart on, or anything you want. You need to sew that on now. And then after you've done that, you need to sew it to your piece of fabric that's going on the back of your regular pocket. So the fabric that's going on the back of this, going just like that. And so you need to make sure it's basically in the middle, and if it's not exactly center, then you need to move it up from here, like closer to the top here than down here. Otherwise, put it dead center. And make sure you don't put it more left or more right, unless that's how you want it. But be careful with that. And so you have two choices for sewing it on. You can either sew it again over the stitch that you already did, and that way it'll look like this, which is the one stitch here. Or you can sew another stitch around and make it like a double stitch like this, or like a regular pocket. See how it has the double stitch, one here and one here, one here and here. You can do that around this too. So you can do a double stitch, or you can do the single one like I just did here and just sew right over the stitch you already made. Alright, so I sewed my pocket onto my fabric, and I hope you made sure not to sew the top, otherwise your pocket won't open. Looks just like that on the back, and I did just the single stitch, so I sewed right over, and I did not do the double. So the next thing we're going to do is our straps. So here's my strap, and because I needed two pieces, because I did not have 4 feet of strap, I just did a simple stitch across here, and yeah, that will make that easier. Now I have 4 feet of fabric, and once you've done that, you're going to need a lot of pins or something to hold your fabric together, and if you don't have pins, then you can try and wing this, but it'll be difficult. And so the first thing you're going to do is we're going to figure out how big you want to make your straps. And so I made these ones on this purse fairly thin. They're like a third of this fabric, and I like that. I like how thin they are. They're probably 3/4 inch, somewhere around there. And so what you gotta do is just take your fabric, and the reason why I had you cut so much is because I like these to be a little thicker, and the less fabric you use, the thinner they'll be. But I like them a little thicker. I like them to have substance to them. But that was up to you. So you can just fold them like one side in, and there's your strap, which is probably what I'm going to do. Or you can fold them, you know, multiple times, 3 or 4 times, you know, make a circle, and then pin them. It's however you want. But whatever you do, make sure you do it the whole way. And as you go, just pin down. So figure out however big you want to make it, and then just take a pin and pin it down. And then go to the next spot and fold the same way you just did. Make sure it's the same size. And pin it down. And just keep going until you have all your pins down. And then once you have all your pins down, just take it to your machine and sew it up. And so you need to pick a color thread that you want to use, because you are going to see the thread. So I'm going to use red like I did on my pocket here. But you can decide what color you want to use. You can use, you know, just a black or a white so that you can't see it, or whatever color the straps are for your bag, you can do the same color. But I am going to do the red. So now that I'm done with my strap, I have my 3 pieces. My strap looks just like this. The spot that I sewed the 2 pieces of fabric together is right here. I don't think it looks bad. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So now we're going to sew all these pieces together. And to start with that, you're going to take your 2 pieces of fabric, the one with the pocket and then the one that just has the fabric, and you're going to take them and you're going to put them together with the outsides facing each other. So I have these 2 pieces, and I'm going to face them and make sure that the top of the pockets are both facing up. And then once you have those put together, make sure they're lined up, just take your safety pins and pin the bottom part where this piece is here. You're just going to pin it on both sides as close as you can get to that without actually going through it. Pin it on this side, and then pin it on this side. After you do that, we're going to put our straps on. And so for our straps, you need to find out the side that you like better. So I like this side better than this side because this side has the flap of the overlapping fabric, and this side doesn't. It's complete. And so that's the side that I want to face the main part of the purse. And what I consider the main part of the purse would be this side with the buttons. And so what you're going to do is take that piece, flip it like this so that the outside's coming up, and place it on the very edge of your pocket, the very edge. So I have this, and I'm just going to place it here. And you're going to want like half an inch to almost an inch extra above, and you're going to take your pin and pin that there. So the part that you like, the pretty part, is going to be on this side, so it's going to be facing the pocket, and the ugly side is going to be up. And you're going to do the same thing with your other part of your strap. So make sure your strap's not twisted at all. And then once you find out it's not twisted, make sure that you take the pretty part, which is this part, and place it on the other side, just like this. And with the same amount of space, you're going to do the same thing. Take your pin and pin that down. After that, take your straps, put them both to one side, doesn't matter which side, and take your flap and bring that up. Once you have your flap up, take a pin and pin that up as well. And then this will be the first part we're going to sew. So sew straight across here. And make sure that you get your straps in. So I'm done sewing the top here. When I open it up, I have my pocket over here, this pocket over here. My straps are in. I can fold it. It looks like this. So I have this pocket here, this one here, and my straps come up like this. And it's all good. So turning it back inside out, we are going to sew the rest of this shut, except for one spot. You need to leave one spot open so that we can turn it inside out, so that the right side comes out, and so that we don't have the inside out. And so the first thing you want to do is pick a side that you want to flip it in and out with. I'm going to pick one of these bottom parts here, and I'm going to pick this one right here, the right one. And whichever side you pick, you need to take your straps, put them together, and pin them to that side so that they don't get sewn into the purse anywhere. You don't want that to happen. So just pin those down. Once you've got those pinned, just put your flap down. You can pin the rest of this closed if you need to. If you don't, you can just start sewing now. And we are going to be sewing this side, and just down here, this corner here. This one. Don't sew this one. We're going to have to hand sew that one later after we turn the whole thing inside out. So I am done with my purse now, the inside anyway. I've sewn all the way around, had some troubles as you can see, but I sewed all the way around except for this one part here where my straps come through, and that is where I'm going to turn this inside out. So I'll show you how that works. We're just going to make sure I have all my pins. I have them all. And so this is going to be really difficult. You're going to have to really pull it. But just kind of start pushing it through. Don't be afraid. Make sure you get the corners. Got that one. Pull them all out. Push that out. So now your bag should look just like this. That's what mine does. And all you have left to sew then is this one part right here. And we're going to hand sew that. So just take these extra pieces, push them in the inside, match up your fabric to the pocket, and then just take some thread and a needle and sew right across here, and that will be your purse. Thank you for watching Beauty from Trashes. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I try and put out at least one new video a week, and you can always follow me on Facebook and Twitter.